everyone participants. Right, okay, well, welcome to the week number 8, session 1, and today we're going to review the 2 cases that we saw. And if we have time, we will do a 3rd case. And today is a flipped classroom. Flip means that you will explain the rest of the class, one of you, what you did. And so you are the teacher. And Salama has volunteered to do this with her exercise assignment. You have had 1 whole week to do it. And of course, only at the last minute, people ask questions on how to do it, which is typical. So the purpose of this assignment is to learn, not to criticize, but we will use Salama's presentation to see how we could improve it. Yes, so I expect you to give suggestions to Salama and to the rest of the class on what she will explain. So now, Salama, if you'd like to share your screen and test the microphone. Salama, manifest yourselves. Can you share your screen?
I cannot share because you are sharing now.
Right. I will stop sharing. Good. How is that now?
Can you see my screen now?
You should ask the students because now you're the teacher. What do they say? They say something?
I don't know how to see the chat.
I just told, hey students, can you see my screen?
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you.
Today I will explain case 1. In first step, we will develop a statement, a problem statement. We'll take the most important information from here. Here, the government must determine whether to reduce...
Wait, hold on, Salama. You're going a bit fast. Can I say something?
Yes, true.
So you are going to apply the 5-step method to do this, right?
Yes.
So you could start by saying, to solve this, I am going to...
Use 5-step methods.
How many steps there are?
5.
5. Great. That's very good. Because imagine that there's someone that missed the 5-step method class. It will go crazy, right? Okay.
Okay.
Go on. Yes. Take your time. Don't rush it. Just take your time.
First step, we will develop a problem statement. The government must determine whether to reduce the speed of the Al Ain highway to Abu Dhabi, and it's estimating reduce the speed from 160 kilometer to 120 kilometer. Would reduce the number of deaths from 30% to 10% per year. In 1 year, the highway will carry 2 million passengers between the 2 cities, and the worth of a human life valued is 400K. We'll use this number for calculating later. To change the sign on the highway at a time of cost 2 million, we will have them as a cost of changing the sign on the highway. And when the cars move 160 kilometers per hour, it will use 50% more fuel than 100 kilometers per hour. And the average of consumption of UAE cars is 10 liters per 100 kilometer at a gasoline price of 2 dirhams per liter. There are 2 stakeholders affected by this decision: the user or passengers, and RTA government. Consider as
very good. Okay. So I have one question, Salama. So usually the problems that you have in a company, they're very long, right? So in this case, the problem I gave you is already very summarized,
yes.
Right? But in real life, you will have maybe 2 people fighting and they have a lot of documentation and a lot of things, blah, 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 blah. And maybe there will be a few pages.
Yes.
And then it's very useful to do what you did here, which is the develop a problem statement which has to be short and to the point. In this case, we don't see the value because it was already very condensed, right?
Yes.
You did a great job because you made it shorter. Very good. Good job.
For the step.
So wait a second. Is this a step number 1? That's it?
Yes.
There's no more things in step number 1 in the 5-step method?
I don't know. I just explained the stakeholders, who are they, and the statement.
Okay, can somebody share the 5-step method? What are the things that should be in the first step, which is, the name is problem statement, but there are a few more components in this problem statement. Does somebody remember what are those? Or if we have missed something? No, no one?
Maybe she needs to explain the stakeholder value.
Right, so who is talking?
Shahad.
Shahad, yeah. So what is this thing with the stakeholders? Who are the stakeholders? What is this stakeholder thing?
The stakeholders are the RTA/the government and the user. We have
Shahad, only... Wait. Who are in general stakeholders? What is this word? What does it mean?
Stakeholder is someone affected by the case, either directly or indirectly.
Affected. Good. Affected. I like this word. Affected. And why do we need to consider all the affected people in the problem? Why?
Because we will consider them, when we put them in consideration for the solution, we get a better solution. For example, if we only think about the government, our solution may not benefit the user.
Very good. A+ for you.
Thank you.
Right? So that's something very important. And this is where many engineers or decisions by the government, afterwards, people realize that they are very bad or embarrassing, or company decisions, they become very bad or embarrassing because they didn't consider, or they forgot, or they thought that some stakeholder was not important, or they didn't care. And then it turns out it was silly not to consider it. Yes, very good. And this is something that we should consider here, the stakeholders. Who are they? Who should we invite to the meetings? Who should be in this conversation to have a good solution, right? So, for example, if you look at a family, an Emirati family, who are the stakeholders of the family?
Of a regular family?
Yeah.
Okay, going to be the parents, the children.
The dad, the mom, the children, right?
Yes.
Somebody else?
Maybe if there is a guardian, or if the family has a maid or something.
Very good. The maid, maybe the maid should be also in the conversations. What else? The grandmothers or the grandparents of the children. The extended family, we call, right?
Oh, right.
Good. Maybe they would like to participate in the conversation. What about if this family receives government aid, like housing, free housing and free education? Maybe should the government be a stakeholder in the family as well?
So the house is from the government?
Yeah, what if this family receives aid from the government?
Then yeah, the government gonna be a stakeholder.
Definitely, it should be, yes. It's affected, yes. Okay, so if you consider all the people affected by something, you will reach a better solution always, yes? And so here is something very important to consider in the problem statement is who is affected by this? Who? Because if you don't know who's affected, how are you come up with a good solution? So, Salama, who are the stakeholders?
I write here with the passengers and RTA, which considers as a government. Yeah.
That's great, but it'd be nice to say why are they stakeholders, and also this should be a big section in your problem statement.
I write them here in step 2.
But step 2, so step 2 is more about to identify the alternatives and how each affect each stakeholder, and it's very nice to do a table with the stakeholders and what happens to them with each solution. Then it's so much clearer. With text, blah, 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 blah. Right? So can you, for example, expand your stakeholders in section 1? Maybe you can add one line for the first one, for example. You could add, make a new line after government. Yeah.
I move this one.
No, just leave that. Yeah. So make a new line and write who are the stakeholders. Make a list.
Okay.
And so we're going to make a list. Yeah. So who are the stakeholders? So just put stakeholders, ST to go fast. Okay. ST. Smart. Okay, and then and new line, and then hyphen, very good. Okay, so who are the stakeholders? So, passengers, right? Passengers is one, right? Because they die.
Yes.
Passengers. Then RTA, because it's the one in charge of regulating, right? Enforcing. And then who else? Government, because they make the law. They are the ones who decide. Are we missing someone here? Is that it? So ask the rest of the class if you are missing something.
I'm missing here for stakeholders. What do you think, guys?
I think they're girls only. You have to ask them again because they're very shy.
What I miss for stakeholders?
Don't say I, say we missed.
What we miss for stakeholders?
So this problem involves deaths of passengers, right? And what else does it involve?
Maybe the hospital?
Very good. Maybe we should have somebody from the hospital where these people die or are treated after an accident. If we have a meeting about this and we don't have people from the hospital, the people that save these people, or the people that have to go to fix the cars in the highway, maybe we will miss very important information that we don't know, don't you think? Don't you think these people might have very interesting things to tell us? Absolutely. Don't you think these people will be happy because they will have to work less if the number of deaths are reduced? They're clearly affected. So they have to be here. They are stakeholders of this problem. Absolutely. Yes. So ambulance, whoever you call it, hospital, somebody, emergency responder, ER, no? How do they call them? ER? Just put ER, highway doctors, I don't know how they call it. Put ER, emergency responders, I think they call it. ER, Salama.
Emergency
responders. Something like that. Just click on that, it will autocorrect. Very good. Who else are we missing? What does this problem talk about? It's also about, yeah? It's also about gasoline consumption, isn't it?
Yes.
Maybe we should have someone from ADNOC who can tell us things that we don't know about gasoline consumption. For example, that maybe our numbers are wrong. That is not 50% reduction of consumption, that is 20%, right? So
Yes.
definitely at NOC, they know this topic very well, more than us, right? And they also will be affected. How they will be affected? Can somebody tell me? If the speed limit is reduced to from 160 to 120, they will sell more or less gasoline?
This gasoline.
Do you think they will like that?
No.
No, but they're clearly affected, isn't it? So
Yes.
I'm not should be in the conversation. Who else are we missing here? So what happens if there is less gasoline consumption? What happens also as well? Less pollution, isn't it?
Yes.
So maybe, right, so somebody from environment department, ministry, maybe will be interested in this. Or the climate change ministry also, right? Environment, climate change, yeah. Right? Very good. So this is so much better now because we will have a much better view, 360 view of the problem, rather than if we just considered passengers and RTA. Sounds good?
Yes.
And also you want to know when you implement a decision or choose a decision, who will be against, who will be in favor, and how to make, if somebody is not in favor, you can say this is the most ethical decision, but if 3 or 4 stakeholders are not in favor, it's not going to happen. So it's good to know, to see and consider how it affects everybody. Yes, if you want to be ethical. And so, as we said before, the reasons why people are not ethical sometimes is because they're mean, selfish, but sometimes it's because they don't know the topic and they make a decision without studying or doing the homework. And this is where the 5-step method can help a lot. And you will be embarrassed how many times companies, organizations, they take decisions that turn out to be very bad. And if they had used this method, they would not have been embarrassed or unethical or gone to jail. Sounds good? And here, Salama, go to passengers again and make tap with the tab keyword and click a keyword of how they are affected.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So passengers are affected because they die, right? They die. Or accidents. You could put accidents, right? It's better.
Accidents?
Yeah, they have accidents when they drive.
Yes.
So instead of die, which is a bit not informative, instead of that, type accidents, traffic accidents. Okay, great. Accent, very good. Don't worry about you can fix that later.
Okay.
Accidents, which instead of X is CC, yes? That's fine, good. RTA, how are they affected? So you can ask the classroom.
How does RTA will be affected? What do you think?
They are going to pay for the signs change.
They have to pay, yeah, but that's not the main role. What does RTA mean?
The Department of Frauds.
It's not the department, it's what does the A mean in RTA? It means
It means authority.
authority. So they are the authority of the roads, right? So they are the regulator. Yeah, this is a stakeholder role. They are the regulator, right? Regulator. They regulate. They make the law.
So we write regulator.
Regulator, yeah. That's a word that you should know. Regulator, right? So you can put they make the law, or they enforce the law. Yeah, you can say enforce the law, make the law. Enforce the law of the roads. Good. What about the government here? What's the role of the government?
Making the roads, maybe, for the signs also.
Right. So I think RTA will take care of the signs, but I don't know. I'm not sure now.
Aren't
The government.
RTA and the government the same person?
Very good. So you can scratch government out. It's the same people. Very good. So hospital emergency responders. Well, what is the role of these persons? What's the role? Save lives. Very good, Taif. Yeah, go for it. Okay. ADNOC. What's the role of ADNOC?
The sales, maybe.
To sell as much gasoline as possible and to make as much more money as possible from the shops in the highway, right? Because it's a company, and companies, their purpose is to make as much money as they can. They are not charities companies, isn't it? It's a different type of organization. It's not like a university. They have a very clear purpose to make money. Environment department. So this could be considered part of the government, but what's the role here? The environment department is, Taif, can you speak and explain you?
Maybe they care about increasing the number of population and getting more people to live in the country.
What does Salama? Ask Salama. Salama is, you're talking to Salama now. Salama is the boss. Anybody else? So very good. So I think Khadija, can you speak?
Their role is to save the environment, so they have to limit the pollution, limit the use of gasoline.
Very good. So limit. So yeah. So you can put pollution, because pollution kills people as well, and CO2 emissions, right? Because it's bad for the environment, because we are producing too much CO2 emissions, and this might send the global climate out of control, and we don't know what's going to happen. So it's super dangerous, right? How do you like these stakeholders? Is it interesting?
Yes, they are much clearer.
Do you have a sense that now you have more control of the problem?
Yes, from all the sides.
Exactly. And remember, the worst thing that can happen is that you miss something. You had a blind spot, you missed something very important, and you took an important decision in your engineering career, and then some scandal happens, and then people ask you, why did you do this? And you said, oh, I don't know, I wake up in the morning and I thought it was a good idea. That is not professional. Right, so I think that's more or less. Right. So I'm sharing on Slack the 5-step method guidelines from the book, page 20. And in develop a problem statement, it says gather and analyze facts, make no assumptions, and identify stakeholders affected by the decision. Yes. And so if you did that, congratulations. It means that you read the book a bit and you read the slides and the videos. If you forgot about the stakeholder analysis and thinking about which stakeholder should be, then you will have to add them in the problem statement. And it is nice to make a table with this, where you list the stakeholders and their role. Role is what it's important, not just the name, but the role. Right, Salama?
Yes.
Now we're ready to go to step number 2. Which is step number 2? What's the name?
Identify alternatives.
And what we should do here in this step?
Having two options or options, having the options.
Yes, so it's about brainstorming as alternatives, and then can you be ethical if you only have one alternative?
No.
Why not?
Because we must have all the options for each statement.
That's an answer to a different question. The question is, can you be ethical if you only have one option, one alternative? Why not? What does it mean to be ethical?
No, because we at least must to have two options.
And why is that? Why do you have to consider at least two options if you want to be ethical?
To be more ethical.
What does it mean to be ethical? To be ethical, it means to choose the most ethical option. That's what it means. But if you don't choose, because you have nothing to choose, you have only one option in the menu, there's no decision making. You didn't consider, there's no choosing process. There's no decision process. There was no decision to make. It was already only one option, one way. Not only left or right, there's only one way. So you didn't decide anything. You were not ethical or non-ethical. You didn't, yes? So that's why we say we're not ethical if we only have one option, because we didn't do the process of choosing and deciding. And that is the difference between humans and animals most of the time. Right, so identify alternatives. Here you would meet with the stakeholders and you would brainstorm and you would understand everybody's point of view to see how it impacts everybody. And also they will tell you good ideas, or they will destroy assumptions that maybe you had that are wrong. Because are you an expert on highway traffic? Do you know there's people that do PhDs on highway traffic? Okay, so Salama, tell us your two alternatives that if this was a real case, you would have spent maybe 1 week brainstorming, having meetings, brainstorming, design thinking meetings with this one representative from each stakeholder. But we don't have time for that. So we have option A and option B, yes, which I gave you in the assignment.
So in option A, the speed remained the same, 160 km per hour, which will cost many lives. And in option B, we will reduce the speed of the lane highway to 120 km per hour.
Right. So this language that you use here, which costs many lives, we don't need it. Here is just about, tell me the two alternatives, because it's judgmental. What does many leave? many, you know, just keep it simple, just be objective. Don't put your emotion into the thing because we don't know yet what is more ethical. Right, excellent, 2 alternatives. And so as we said, you had many meetings with the stakeholders, you would learn all the information they have, all their knowledge from years and years of working as a nurse, as a policeman, as a sign person. Maybe the signs are more expensive than we think, I don't know, and so on. And then you will have a very good picture. And then what, Salama?
I must read my the stakeholders affected.
It would be nice to, what do we do after we identify the stakeholders? What is the next step? Well, it's the step number 3, which is evaluate and choose alternative. Yes?
Yes.
And here you have to consider what? You have to consider the law. Yeah. You have to consider which approach, ethical approach you want to use. You have to consider the impact of each alternative in the stakeholders, each one of them. And then you have to evaluate the alternatives so you can compare them. Sounds good?
Yes.
So the best thing to do here is I would copy your stakeholders. So here you jump very quickly to Excel analysis, but just make some space here after the title. Make space between the table and the title, step 3. No, yeah. before the table. Yeah, make a lot of space. Then copy the stakeholders from step 1. How many stakeholders we have? Okay, now go to, I want you to insert a table here.
Where?
Make space. And there's a thing called insert in the menu. Can you insert the table? Yeah, and make 3 columns and 5 rows, 6 rows. Excellent, wonderful. And here we're gonna have a stakeholder. No, just put STK. Yeah.
Okay.
ST, very good. Then press tab on your computer. Tab. No, tab is a key on the left side of your keyboard. It says TAB. Or with the arrows, can you move up and left?
Yes.
So, okay, here, okay. So A, B, on the other side.
And the other side, okay.
Got it?
Yes. Here I write stakeholders.
Yeah, just passengers. Okay. Okay, it's fine. Good. RTA, hospital. Very good. Wonderful. Okay. So A, you can put parentheses 160. Okay, so we remember. And B, 120. KMH. Yeah, good. Wonderful. So here you can explain, you don't need to put numbers, but you could explain what's going to happen, right? So what's happened with the passengers, basically?
Losing their lives.
So, right, so deaths, it's 30 and the other is 10 per year, right? You can put death 30.
It's what?
30, 30, right?
Okay.
Slash year, right? Slash Y. Mm-hmm. Very good. And the other is 10 per year, right?
Yes.
Now, look at all the stakeholders. Is this the only way this will affect the passengers, the deaths? You can ask the class. What's the other way? Yes, who's talking?
What are others?
Yes. Their time. Khadija says their time. Khadija, how it will affect their time?
If they have less speed, they will spend more time on the road. And if they have 160, they might spend less time. So it
That is
might
amazing.
affect.
That's very good. So, so wasting time, would you say is the same as lifetime? Is it equivalent? If you want to go to Abu Dhabi and it takes 50 years to go, are you happy? What if it takes 1 year? Are you happy?
No.
What if it takes 10 extra hours? Are you happy?
No.
What if it takes, so every minute, every hour that people spend doing something that it's a waste of time, driving, you can consider is the same as the time that people don't live after they die. For this analysis, it's not exactly the same, but to simplify, you could say wasting time is same as not living, which is what happens when people die. And it's not exactly, but it's very useful to simplify the analysis and the calculations. You could adjust the factor and say, okay, time waste driving, maybe it's not exactly 100% time you didn't live, but it could be 50% of that. So you could have an alpha factor, but that's if you want to sophisticate the model. But it's a very beautiful and simplified model. Like, yeah, time you waste is same as time you didn't live. So wasted time, yeah. So wasted time. That's another factor you want to consider. So here you could press enter. If you press shift enter, it will create a new line in the same cell. Oh, you did it very well. So waste time, and do we have a number for this wasted time?
Yes.
Well, that's excellent. How much is it?
Calculated. It will be 266.76 million.
Because this analysis is for, what is this, 2 years or what?
No, for 1 year.
What is this number 2? 2 multiplied by 160 divided by 120 multiplied by 100. What is that? Where does this come from? Somebody can explain this calculation? She counted for the work. Yeah, very good. So how do we arrive to these numbers? So let's go back to the explanation of the problem.
Here.
Yeah, so how do we arrive to these numbers? Does it say how many times people travel every year?
Yes, you say.
What is it? What is it? I don't see it.
Passengers between the cities.
Every year.
Okay.
So okay. So we have 2 million passengers every year. So this is per year, right?
Yes.
So 2 million, and how much time do they spend? We divide the distance by the speed, right? And then we have time.
Yes.
This is from high school physics. So that's where we got 100 kilometers divided by 100 kmh, right? And then we'll multiply by 2 million, and we have the hours of time lost. So you can go back down to the Excel where you calculate that. So this is correct, yeah? 2, this time, 2 multiplied by 100. So maybe this is wrong. I don't understand now. How did you calculate the time? Where does this 200 AAD come from? Salama. Anyway, let's put the time, yeah? So go to cell A in passengers, upstairs.
Yes.
And make a new line and say time, wasted time. Waste time equal what? So 2M, 2 million people, right? 2MP.
Yes.
So it's going to be what? 2MP. I'm going to type it in the chat. 2MP multiplied by 100 km divided by 120 kmh. This will give us hours, right? So how, can somebody do this calculation? I put in the chat. Yeah. How much is 2 multiplied by 100 divided by 120? Somebody? Nobody? 1.6 million. And what are the units? So kilometers cancel kilometers. So we have 1.6 million hours, right? Per year, yes? So the wasted time, Salama, is 1.6 million H. It's in the chat, yeah? And in, sorry, that's for option B, because option A is 160, yeah. Great. And how much is for option A? Can somebody give me the number, please? What is the number? Taif, perfect. So you can copy Taif answer. It's very good. So Taif, what is this 100 dirhams that you put there?
It is my estimated value for the hours of the passenger's time.
Right, because we want to convert this to dirhams afterwards. So we can compare deaths with wasted time, right? So all these, you have to explain it somewhere, right? So everybody that copied, and this, they put this table, copied from the previous solution video exercise, and you didn't explain where these dirhams come from. This is embarrassing for you, because what does it mean? How did you do this? People will ask you, how did you arrive to this million dirhams? You have to be able to explain that, right? So Salama, let's copy that. Wasted time. I think in the chat, do you see the chat, Salama?
Yes.
So I think Taif wrote something good there. So 2 million.
Times.
Do you see? Taif, can you copy paste your comment again? Yeah, okay. Khadija also has good one. Okay, which one is the most clear way to explain this? Which one do you like? Yeah, like, I don't know. Which one do you like? Hey, Khadija, can you explain your calculation, please?
Okay. I multiply 2 million, which is the number of passengers, times the time they spend, which is the distance over speed, times the average years in human lives, over the hours in human lives, times the cost of a human life, which is 0.4 in a million.
Wow, this is really good, Khadija. Where did you get this formula from? Do you get Khadija's formula? Isn't it amazing? Khadija,
Yes.
where did you get this formula from?
I came with it yesterday.
This is really good. I love it, because then we don't have to assume 100 dirhams, which is an assumption, right? And Khadija's formula doesn't have an assumption. I love this one. I would go for this one. What do you think, guys? Salama, you're the boss. Which one formula do we use?
It's very clear. And I think.
So I would, yeah. So I would put an asterisk in wasted time there in cell A, put an asterisk in before the equal.
Yes.
And then below this table, you make a space below the table after after the table. Or you can put it there, yeah.
Like
And
this?
yeah, perfect. And then put the asterisk and say, this is the formula we're using.
Okay.
And it would be nice to explain the formula because this is the core, is a very important component, right? Right, very good. No, it's fine, just, yeah. So this could be a footnote in the table, this formula and the explanation, like we assume this and that. Okay, Khadija, tell us the numbers. Oh, not this one. We take Khadija's formula.
Okay.
Salama. Yeah. That's amazing, Khadija. Congratulations. Bonus point for you. So Khadija, which numbers do we have then? Talking to Khadija. Okay, Salama, Khadija's not responding, so we have to type the numbers by ourselves. So wasted time.
Second.
What is the human life average in the Emirates? Can somebody Google that? So we need this number as well. Okay, so I'm gonna calculate Khadija's number in the chat. So it's 2 million people multiplied by 100 kilometers divided by 160 kilometers hour. And then we multiply this by we divide the cost of a human life, or average years in human life divided by the hours in human life. I think, Khadija, you should put the hours in human lives before the average years in human life. So I would do something like this. I'm typing in the chat, wasted time divided by lifespan multiplied by value of whole life. I think this formula is a bit more correct. Does everybody agree? So we have 2 million people multiplied by the time they waste. So this is the wasted time. And the next is what? The value of the whole life. Oh yeah, so come again, and I think we need to tweak it a bit. So we just divide by the lifespan, right? The wasted time, we already have it. So something like that. Divide by lifespan. Sounds good. Is that good? So I think you got it. Yeah. So I think, let's see. Like this. So I think to simplify, we're going to just calculate the wasted time first and then the value of the wasted time. How is that, Salama?
Yes, I think it's better.
Yeah, okay. So let's put the wasted time only. So it's 2 million multiplied by the distance divided by the speed, right? And this is per year. So let's do that.
Only the one I copied here.
Yeah, so we put 2 million divided by distance is 100 divided by 160. That equals, yeah, so 2 million people. Yes, very good. Yeah, don't worry about this.
Okay.
2 million people multiplied by 100. Okay, that's it. 100 divided by 160, and then make a new line after that, or delete lifespan value. Yeah.
Here?
No. So go to wasted time equal 2 million multiplied by 100 divided by 160. That's it. Finish there. Make a new line there. Enter. Yeah. And that's equal how much? Well, 100 divided by 160 multiplied by 2 is how much? Somebody? 100 divided by 160.
1.25.
Excellent. 1.25 million what? Hours. Million hours lost per year. It's not divided, the hours are not divided, it's million of hours, MH. Divided, divided year. Divided year. Yes. Yes. Make a new line to make space. New line. And the value of this time is, put value equal 1.25 mH, and then multiply by, oh, so we divide by the lifespan, right?
Yes.
Which is how many years a lifespan? Let's say 50 years people live here. What's the lifespan of here in this country? 65 years? 78 years. We need to convert 78 years to hours, right? How many hours is 78 years? Can somebody tell me? Anybody?
Why did we use 100 over 160?
Come again?
Why did we use 100 kilometers over 160
So
kilometers?
the 100 kilometers is the distance between Al Ain and Abu Dhabi, more or less.
Isn't 160?
Oh my God! Yes! Thank you.
Well, Cliff said it first in the chat.
Well, you have to make your opinion stronger in the future. Yeah. So 2 million hours. Excellent. And the value is 2 million hours. And how much is an hour of a lifespan? So how much is that as a percentage of the whole life? So we know, okay, so Khadija says, so Khadija's number, let's simplify it to 600,000 hours, yeah? 600K hours. So the lifespan, replace life, yeah, okay, divided,
Okay.
yeah. And K means kilo, so it's a small k, right? It's a small k, it's not a big one.
Okay.
KH hours.
Okay.
And then we multiply this by the value of a whole life. So how much is 2 million divided by 600 kh? Can somebody tell me? $2 million divided by 600K. Zero. You sure about that? Salama, maybe? Salama, you don't do calculations. You ask. You already have a lot on your plate. So you should ask. Are you sure that 2 million divided by 600K? 3.3. So 3.3 lives. So the time people waste driving per year is 3.3, equivalent to 3.3 lives per year. Do you get it? So equal, no, this is, yeah, this equals 3.3 lives or people per year, lives divided year, yeah. And now you can calculate, if you say a life is a life, you can you can calculate value again. Yeah, so you can multiply by the, whoa. So, yes. So how much is that in money? 3.3 lives multiplied by 400,000, we said?
Yes, we for 4,000. Okay, yeah.
So AED, KAED, yeah? AED, DHS, whatever you like. Dirham, DHAD, per life, right? Divided by life. So 3.3 lives multiplied by this, divided by life. Yeah, this is for one life. 400 is for one life, right? Yeah, you got it. And 3.3, it's lives, right? So, okay. And so how much is this? Total 1.3 million dirhams, equal? Yes, Salama, very good. Equal?
Okay.
1.3 million dirhams. Million. Not 1.3. Excellent. Fantastic. You got it?
Yes.
And this calculation, if you explain it like, hey, this is the assumption, this is how I explain it, you could explain it in a footnote or spend a few sentences explaining what's your reasoning process. It doesn't matter if you decide to do it this way or that way. What matters is that you explain why and how, at least so it's clear and transparent. Khadija says that we should 402 million because we counted in million. We counted in million in the solution I gave you, but yeah, if you want to count in million or just put 1.3 M, it's, I think, depends. Yeah, it's just not a big deal. Khadija, it's not a big deal. Okay, good. Right, and then we could do calculation for B, right?
Okay, yes.
Shall we do it? So what's the wasted time in B? Can somebody who was good at this? Khadija? Who was good? Who find the mistake of the distance? So the wasted time is going to be in case B is what? Instead of, so you can copy what you wrote in A, you can copy it to B.
Okay.
Like the wasted time calculations, and then we just change 160 kilometers per hour for 121. Just copy what you wrote. Yeah. Oh, good. So here we put 120. So how much is this? So just copy wasted from A, column A.
Okay.
Just copy all this.
What's it?
Just put it on B, and then we just change some numbers. Yeah. Yeah, very good. So what the numbers we change here is the 160 kmh on the right, more to the right. Yeah, this one. And to make things easier for people, you could put this in bold numbers too. This is the only difference, right? So you, it's excellent, very good, or pink color, you know. Okay, so how much is this? How many million hours?
2.6.
Yeah, 2.6. Everybody agrees? Okay. And the value is?
The value here.
Very good. Yeah, excellent. All the rest is the same. So how many lives here now? You can ask the students.
How many lives will be there?
That's correct, Khadija, but it's not the inverse of the hour because KMH is downstairs in the, okay, 4.4 hours. Khadija, talk to me later. So KM divided by KMH, the hour is, oh, I see what you're saying. Oh yeah, so Khadija, KMH, sorry, Khadija has a question here. KMH is a typical term used in automotion But if we are proper in physics, we would do KMH. This is correct. But you will see in the cars, in the speed meter, KMP, KMH, but it's not exactly correct. So think of this KMH not as proper mathematics, but as a symbol that represents KM divided by H. Okay, Khadija, very good point. Good point. So next one. So yes, sorry, Salama. Yeah, good point, Khadija. Very good point, bonus point for you. You're finding all the little things, fantastic. 1.7 million dirhams, Taif says. Okay, 1.7 million dirhams, fantastic. So you could highlight these two in yellow, maybe 1.7 on one side. Yes, and 1.3 on the other side. Okay, yeah. Well, if we put yellow everywhere, it's not interesting. Okay, good. But don't overdo it. So, wow, this is so much better now, isn't it? Now, the difficult part, this was the easy part. What's the difficult part now is what's the impact on the RTA?
I think the money they will pay it for changing the sign.
Should we convert the deaths to monetary value so we can compare the wasted time with the deaths?
Maybe.
How many million dirhams is 30 deaths? So it's 12 million, I think, isn't it?
Yes, here we have 12 million, right?
Right, so we could put passengers next to deaths. We could say this equals upstairs, yeah, exactly. 12 million AED, right? So you could put an arrow here to the right or equal 12 million AED. And on the other side, it would be 3 times less, which is 4 million AED. Does that make sense to you guys? Did we miss something? Is there something wrong? Okay, good. Are we missing something here? Okay, the passengers, well, they have to pay for the fuel, right? But should we consider? Okay, let's look at the RTA. RTA, what's the impact of A or B? What's the difference for them?
If they don't change, they will not pay anything. So no effect.
No effect. Anybody has some opinion? So here we could consider the reputation of RTA. Oh, they did a good thing, they did a bad thing. They don't care about people, they care about people. Or they care more about the environment than people, or what is it? Or they care more about ADNOC, or what do they care about? Or what's the PR for them? Or what's the public perception of RTA? There are other things, not just money, right? Changing the sign, maybe it's extra work for them, and people don't like to do extra work, right? So maybe just because of that, they will say no to change anything, right? And that's exactly what happens in many organizations. Organizations hate change because that means extra work for people and them and extra problems. And doing nothing means that you can just have your coffee and just, does it make sense? So you can expect that RTA will not want to change anything, which is not a bad thing, because what would happen if organizations didn't mind changing things every 5 minutes? Do you think that's good?
No.
No, so a bit of resistance to change you will find in every living organism and in every organization and in every successful system. Every successful system will refuse change And you cannot be successful if you don't do that, because otherwise, what does it mean? That anything can change you, and that doesn't work. So resistance to change is normal. It's not bad or good. It's just the way we are. But it's good to have it in mind that you will always have some resistance when you want change in an organization. And that's why you have ways and tricks to help people change, right? There's these change management consultants, there is workshops, there's design thinking, there's so many things, but that's another subject. But just keep in mind, so maybe RTA will not be resistant to change, possible, but I don't see any big impact for RTA. Like, maybe if there are less deaths, maybe they have less work, and that's good for them. They will like that. Because their mission is safety of the passengers, right? I think one of the missions. I'm not sure, I'm not an expert. That's why we should have an expert of RTA here. So maybe they will be happy. So you could put a smiley in option B. I don't know.
On option B?
Yeah, maybe. So I'm assuming here, which is very bad, right? That's why you should have a stakeholder in the conversation. You understand?
So
I have no idea. So we could put, I don't know what they will, I guess they will prefer less deaths because that means they're doing their job better.
okay.
Right? And then you can put a smiley, not smiley, opposite of a smiley. What do you say that?
Service.
They're very good. Right. And because we don't have numbers here, we just put smileys or some sign or something that marks, they might prefer this or that. And yeah, but on the other hand, you could think, oh, B means change, so they will not like change. So you could consider resistance to change. Anyway, hospital. What about hospital?
More work. They will have more work. So
more work, and the mission of the hospital is to save people's life, and they will be happy if they accomplish this mission, right? So I would say then similar to RTA, I guess, right?
So service.
Yeah. Oh yeah, very good. Unless, what happens if the hospital is a private hospital, or if we are like in America and everything, healthcare is privatized? What's the problem here? If the hospital
They will have more clients, so they will raise their money. If it's
right. So it will be the opposite. Do you see that?
Yes.
So if you are in America, the hospital will be happier with more death. Do you understand that?
Yes.
That is the problem with America and places where they have private health, that you have these crazy things where a hospital prefers to have more things that are bad for society. ADNOC.
And it will be happy to sell more.
To sell more. And when does it sell more? When it sells more gasoline. Okay.
When the speed is
oh my God, the time is over. Thank you very much. Okay. So Salama, we will continue this in the next session. And you can leave. Type your names in the chat if you want to be marked as present today. Thank you very much, Tahani. Type your names in the chat. And we will continue this. Yes? Okay. Salama, you can improve with the new knowledge you have. You can improve. What I would do now is you have all the data more or less, and now you can decide, we're going to do this approach, the utilitarian approach, where we compare money, or we're going to do the values approach, or we're going to do the fairness approach, or we're going to do the common good approach, and think of which approach is more appropriate in this case. And I think the utilitarian is the most appropriate, but maybe I'm wrong, right? Good, so I'll see you next day, and we will continue this session. Good, everybody, type your names in the chat. So if you want to be marked as present. And questions? Okay, good. And please tell me when we are over time earlier. This time. All right. If you type your name, you can leave. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Salama.
You're welcome.
Can you continue doing this the next session?
Yes, sure.
Absolutely. Great job, everybody. Thank you. Great. Wonderful. Very good. Ohud, Shamma, Fortun. Very good. All right. Okay. Good. Questions? Anybody has questions? No. Good. Okay. Fantastic. All right. Well, cool. Excellent. I will leave the chat open. The 16 people. Okay. Good. You can leave the meeting. Yes. Thank you.